Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy GrandmastaJ, and today, first and foremost, shout out to my boy Nitro. All right, literally my son. I taught him everything he knows. You can fact check that. Actually, don't fact check that with him. But anyways, I love him to death. I'm so proud of him. You know, I got nothing but fantastic words for him. But that's not what this video is about. Okay, Nitro, step to the side. More important things are at hand. For example, Season 4, with the inclusion of Season 4, they added a brand new patch to essentially hold us over until the October patch. They made changes to Wild Assault, White Wild Assault, Red Wild Assault, made changes to the DPs and stuff like that. But also, and more importantly to this video specifically, they made changes to a bunch of the weaker characters of the cast to essentially put them more in line with the rest of the cast. So the main characters that got changed was Elphelt, Zato, Johnny, Potemkin, Testament, Axel, and I might be missing somebody, but Bedman. And for whatever gosh darn reason, they did not buff Viking, but you know, hey, I guess nobody really gonna be playing her now. Okay, so for the next few days, I'm going to make a video about each and every one of those characters, going over all of their changes and seeing how much better, or I guess predicting how much better they are going to be in this time frame going into October. And first and foremost, we have the girl, my main, not really my main, one of my mains, the girl herself, Elphelt Valentine. So jumping straight into the changes, first thing they did was that they made her crouch punch. Yeah, they made it 4 frames, which I don't think you guys really understand the difference between 5 frames and 4 frames. That is a huge deal, especially not necessarily offensively, but is very good defensively. What do I mean by that? So in situations where you would be put at a 0 situation, basically a +0 situation means that you and your opponent are exactly like you're at nobody's at an advantage, right? Most of the cast, they only have normals that are 5 frames startup, right? Usually their fastest jab is only 5 frames. That applies for like 90% of the cast, shy of Chip, who has a 3-frame dash or 3-frame jab, Soul, who also has a 3-frame 5K, and Abba, who has a 4-frame crouching jab. So that means in these situations against 90% of the cast, she will have the advantage. Of course, I did not press the button there. Bang, right there. And also, defensively speaking, she is more able to mash out of pressure, I guess you can say a little easier, right? But that 1 frame does make a big, massive difference. If you don't believe me, check out Abba. If you're fighting against Abba, usually the Abba players, they stay mashing their crouch B. Why? Because they know it's really fast. Speaking of Abba, in this situation, right? Whoops, hold on. There we go. In this situation, usually Abba would have the advantage against most of the cast, or at the very least clash there, because it's only -1 and she has a 4-frame jab. So against most of the cast, she would either clash or just outright beat them out, which was very obnoxious to deal with as the defender, because you kind of had to like just backdash. You really did not want to get jabbed, because Abba's reward off of jab is literal death. So for Elphelt to be able to contest that is a really big deal. For her next change, they actually made it so that far standing slash is now less, or I guess more, affected by dash momentum. Okay, what this means is that if you can't tell, she's kind of on roller skates when she uses her far slash, and so now her effective range when using this move is just much better. Usually this button was kind of slow, and one of the things I was saying, or I guess saying to myself, was that if they buffed her far slash and crouch slash, she would definitely be considered a much better character. Because one thing that we saw with Sin was that Elphelt is a great character that is held back by her bad normals. But now that they kind of buffed it, they didn't overtune it, because remember, when Sin's normals got buffed, he became like the best character in the game, or at least one of the best characters in the game. So they didn't overtune it, but they definitely made it feel better to use, which I think is great. The next one is a bit of a minor change, but it's kind of a nice quality of life. They made jumping slash's hitbox go a little bit higher, and that's kind of it. You know, I mean, I guess this is nice for like air to airs, but honestly, I wasn't really air to airing with this move, but you know, thank you. I appreciate it, Arxis. Now, going into this next change, this is actually one of the like more major changes, is that they made her Gunshot, Rounded Miss Charlotte, I just call it the boom boom stick, okay? They made it so that the first shot of it actually hits, right? So even at point blank ranges, she is actually able to get that first shot off. And before, it would kind of go through the opponent, which had its niche uses, but it wasn't very effective at these sort of closer ranges, where if you wanted to kind of like disengage or kind of like, you know, back up a little bit, or not necessarily push your pressure, you didn't really have an option to do that, but now you kind of do. Not only did they make it so that the first shot hits, but they also made the first shot way safer. So it actually pushes back, as you saw, a lot, right? It pushes back quite a lot, and it also has decreased recovery. So I think it's only 1 frame decreased recovery, but as you can see, it does make a difference. So Elphelt is not really going to be getting punished for using this move. And while that change seems kind of niche, it just makes it so that Elphelt's disengage is much safer. Like, she has a clear-cut option just to get away from pressure if she so desires. And also, if your opponent's running at you and you press this move, right, they're not just gonna run through the bullet, right, and just smoke you out of it. So that's pretty good. Next is that they made Miss Charlotte out for repair, which is this move, aka Bridal Express. If you know, you know. They made it so that the blowback distance is decreased, basically meaning that if you hit your opponent with this move, they get launched, I guess, less far, which is great for confirms like this, where now you're able to very, very cleanly get a close slash, like very, very cleanly, which just overall helps her pressure, which helps her just to stick to her opponent. Because one of the issues that she had before was that she was not really able to stick to you from like certain confirms. So now that's no longer going to be the case. Even like from a very far distance like this, right? I'm still kind of able to get a close slash if I'm fast enough. Now for what I think is the major change is that they made her grenade Bomb Chocolat. I hope I'm saying that right. They made it so that it pops the opponent up. This is huge. The reason why this is huge is because Elphelt's biggest issue is that she had great mix-up, but she had to hit you like 500 times, man. Like, if you got this move, the first thing you would get was just like 2K2D and then kind of loop into it, right? But now, if you get a cross-up, you're actually able to get a really, really good confirm off of it and then kind of loop into her pressure. This just means that she's going to be interacting with her opponents far less because she's going to be chunking more of their health with every interaction. And that is a really big deal. And finally, the final change they did was that they made this super actually useful. Now, here's the thing. I'm a goat, all right? I'm a god. I was already using this super, but it was very, very difficult. Reason being was because you really had to be close, like point blank in order to use this gosh darn move. It was very, very annoying. And also, I didn't really know this, but after this sort of like pushback, right, the opponents were like pushed back at a certain distance depending on the character, which made it so that certain mix-ups that you wanted to go for was a bit inconsistent on some members of the cast. But now they made it so that this distance right here, right where Soul is standing at, is going to be standard across the board. So that way you're actually able to, like, say, for example, you labbed a mix-up on Kai and it doesn't work on Bedman for whatever reason because they get pushed back a little farther or a little shorter. Now it's going to be universal across the cast, and that's pretty good. And just to kind of show the range that we're talking about here, I think even there, yeah, it goes like really, really far now. And like, you might be like, well, that's pretty cool, but like, how does this affect LeBron's legacy? Well, let me tell you. First things first is that now she's able to actually do it off of a tick throw far slash or tick throw close slash. Of course, you know, I didn't do that part, but she's able to do that. She wasn't able to do that before. Before she had to do like tick throw 5K or something like that, and even then that was like pretty difficult unless you had like dash momentum or went into wild assault first for it in order to maintain that dash momentum. But now that's no longer the case, so your opponent has to just be careful of it way more. Now with these changes, where do I think she places on the tier list now, or like my predictions of that? So I think that Elphelt is clearly going from like one of the weaker characters of the game. And mind you, I don't even think she was that weak. She definitely had some very, very clear strengths. For example, her run speed, her mix-ups, and the fact that if she got you blocking, you just had to block. Those things were already strong, but now she doesn't have to interact with you nearly as much because one, her damage output is just straight up buff because of this move just pops the opponent up. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it also pops the opponent up in combos, so it makes it so that it's easier to get better confirms during combos. But also this move making it so that your opponent is closer just makes it so that you're more encouraged to kind of like use it more, right? And if, say for example, I'm mid-screen, right, now that's going to be crossing up. Before that might not have been the case, or I can even like, that was a 50, I just invented a 50-50 right there, like, and oh my gosh, hold on, we got to cope with this one. That's pretty good. I got a little sidetracked there, but what I'm trying to say is the fact that her pressure is now much more streamlined. She does more damage because her confirms off of her mix-ups is better, and they did not touch Blue Wild Assault, which is now the best Wild Assault in the game because of the nerfs to Red and White Wild Assault, right? So those nerfs also directly affect her defense, because now she doesn't have to like try as hard to defend. And also with the DP nerfs as well, makes it so that she just has more opportunities to make her opponent explode, right? Because now they can't RC DPs, which is quite a big deal, right? Now your opponent has to commit an Elphelt, right? Yeah, anyway, Elphelt is going to stick to you like glue in this patch, and it's going to be pretty ridiculous, and I am looking forward to doing it myself. Anyways, guys, that is it for Elphelt. That is it for your boy today. Thank you so much for you guys for subscribing, and as always, catch you on the next one. Peace.